Hey everyone, I'm Rachel.
And I'm David.
And we are here at Universal Studios Orlando to go to the Orlando Informer Meetup. It is a limited capacity after hours event, so come with us to see if the price tag is worth it.
Let's go! The Orlando Informer Meetups began in 2015 and take place several weekends every year.
On event nights, both Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure close early to daytime guests, leaving both parks open for only those attending the meetup. On the Friday we attended, the park closed to regular guests at 7 p.m., and the event ran until 12:30 a.m. On Saturday, the park closed at 9 p.m., and the event ran until 1:30 a.m. The event comes with a few key perks. Even though the event doesn't start until later, you can begin checking in at 3 p.m. in City Walk. The event also includes a daytime ticket that's valid starting at 5 p.m., so you can go into the parks before the event and see some shows like Cinesational, the Hollywood Horror Makeup Show, or just ride some rides that might have a low wait. All rides are open during the event, though some have limited hours and must close early due to noise ordinances, so always check your OI Meetup guide for that information before planning your night. Due to the super limited number of tickets sold, this essentially means there'll be no lines for most attractions. We'll talk more in depth about wait times later. There are also limited shows running during the event, like the Frog Choir or Castle of Hogwarts shows in Hogsmeade.
Unlimited food is included across both parks, which is a huge perk. Pretty much every dining venue is open most of the event time and has a good selection of options available. When they say unlimited, they really mean it. You can have as much as you want. Lastly, a short pathway is open between the two parks that significantly cuts down the time it takes to get from Universal to Islands of Adventure and back.
Now, what do all those perks cost? You can buy Friday only, Saturday only, or a combined weekend ticket, and the cost per person differs between the two weekend nights. In 2025, the price for Friday only is $239 per person. For Saturday, it's $338 per person. If you purchase the two together, you get a discount of around $170, and the total ends up being around $405 per person. They also offer discounts on Universal hotels if you're attending the meetup, which makes for an easy and free transport to the parks. This is definitely pricey, but we did the math, and if you were to buy a 2-day park ticket with Universal Express, which is Universal's Skip the Line Pass, it comes out to around $950 for the 2 days, depending on the time of year you go. While the meetup event is obviously shorter than a full park day, you're still paying less than half price for all perks and included food. But is it worth it? We were skeptical when we bought the tickets for our first meetup, but since we were combining it with a few other fun Florida plans, we thought it couldn't hurt to try the event we saw all over social media.
We started our night off by checking into Universal Surfside Inn and Suites since we got such a good deal through Orlando Informer. For a 2-queen standard room, we paid $190 per night for 2 nights. They offer even steeper discounts if you're staying longer.
For that price, there are some great advantages to staying at Universal hotels. You get early entry to one of the 2 main parks each day of your stay using your hotel key, which can also serve as your park ticket. They also offer free shuttles right outside the hotel doors that take you to City Walk, your access point for the parks. And lastly, anything you purchase in the parks or City Walk can be sent directly to your room so you don't have to carry it around with you.
We started our first meetup by taking the hotel shuttle to City Walk at a little after 3 p.m., and from the moment we stepped off of the bus, we saw employees holding Orlando Informer Meetup signs to guide us to the check-in desk. There were signs everywhere as we walked through City Walk and behind the Hard Rock until we reached the large sound stage with the check-in.
We didn't film in the check-in area since we weren't sure if it was allowed, but we did snap some photos. The team members were all very friendly, gave us wristbands and a map, and answered any questions we had. They also let us know about the phone number we could text at any point during the night if we had questions or wanted suggestions on rides, food, or shows to partake in. The whole process only took about 5 minutes. Since it wasn't 5 p.m. yet, we couldn't go right into the parks, but they did have another soundstage set up with live music and food. This area was honestly crowded enough that we were concerned about how the wait times in the park would be, and there wasn't anywhere to sit except the floor. They did have a variety of small bites including nachos, mac and cheese, and pretzels, and there were huge coolers with canned soda and bottled water that were all included. We got some insanely delicious cookies and beverages and sat down on the floor to wait for the parks to open for us. We waited until about 5:15 to head into the parks since we knew there'd be a rush right at 5, and we headed straight into Islands of Adventure both nights. Since there were still daytime guests in the park, it was pretty busy both nights when we first entered. This meant our options of what to do were pretty limited if we didn't want to wait in long lines, and most of the shows had already started their last showing for the evening by the time we made it in. On Friday night, we were able to do Doctor Doom's Freefall, Storm Force Accelatron, and Cat in the Hat, all with 5-minute waits before the park closed to daytime guests, as well as buy a ginger newt cookie from Honeydukes. On Saturday, we entered the parks a bit later, so we only did Storm Force Accelatron and bought some Butterbeer before the daytime guests were gone. No matter if you go on Friday or Saturday, there's always technically an hour gap between when the park closes to daytime guests and when the OI Meetup actually begins.
This gives ride queues time to clear out. Employees go through the park and make sure that everyone without a wristband leaves before the event starts. They are really thorough about checking wristbands both while you are walking around and when you go to enter a ride queue, which we loved.
Most rides did open during that gap both days, and limited food options also opened early. Even with things opening up early, though, we knew we needed to have a game plan in order to do the things we wanted in the limited event time. Everyone attending the meetup has different priorities. Maybe you want to try all the foods, or you want to chain ride Jurassic Park River Adventure. You do you. Since we don't get to go to Universal Orlando that often, we chose to prioritize unique experiences to those parks. Our priorities were to ride Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure as many times as possible, VelociCoaster night rides, and to try as many of the Harry Potter drinks and ice creams as we could stomach. We are happy to report that we accomplished all of that and more. But let's start with Hagrid's. Hagrid's Magical Creature Motorbike Adventure is a high-speed roller coaster that takes you through the Forbidden Forest and encounters with various creatures from Harry Potter lore. It's one of our favorite rides on the planet, and was our number one priority for this meetup, especially because it's not eligible for Universal Express Pass, and the average wait time is 88 minutes, which is a lot longer than we like to wait.
On Friday night, the queue for Hagrid's closed almost an hour before the park closed to daytime guests. We waited in a small line of meetup attendees for about 15 minutes before they opened it up for the event. We got to ride it twice in a row and only waited about 10 minutes total.
On Saturday, though, the park was much more crowded and the posted wait time even at park close was over 90 minutes. We decided to take our chances elsewhere for a while, but ended up riding Hagrid's 3 times through the regular line about an hour into the event. We waited 15 minutes the first time, then 25 for the 2 times after, and found the posted wait times in the app and at the entrance to be extremely accurate.
They opened up the single rider line at some point during our third ride, and when we tried it, we walked right on. Of course, if you use the single rider line, you will be separated from your party and will likely not get to ride on the motorbike. But if you just want to wait the least amount of time possible, it is a great way to do that.
Once we'd gotten our fill of Hagrid's, we were off to Jurassic World VelociCoaster. VelociCoaster is the newest coaster at Islands of Adventure and has a top speed of 70 miles per hour on a thrilling track that takes you upside down as you're chased by velociraptors. It has an average wait time of 60 minutes and is not for the faint of heart.
We loved this ride, but had only ridden it during the daytime. We had heard that the nighttime rides are elite, so we really wanted to make a special effort to get on it this trip. There was no posted wait time, and the single rider line was not open, which meant that we got to walk right on both Friday and Saturday nights. Even when we asked for the front or the back, the wait was less than 5 minutes. We even rode twice in a row both days since our belongings were already stored in a locker. The hype we had heard about the night rides was definitely true. It is smooth, fast, and even more intense than during the day.
Unfortunately, both Men in Black Alien Attack and Pteranodon Flyers were closed during our meetup. However, we've heard that when Pteranodon Flyers is open, there's a lottery for those that want to ride it during the event, since adults can only ride while accompanying a child during normal operations. Even with those closures, we still got to experience a lot more attractions during our time at the OI Meetup. On the Islands of Adventure side, we walked onto the front row of the Incredible Hulk coaster and rode both the High in the Sky Seuss Trolley train ride and Cat in the Hat in Seuss Landing without waiting. When it was time to park hop to Universal Studios Orlando on Friday, we took the Hogwarts Express from Hogsmeade to Diagon Alley. On Saturday, it was closer to use the Meetup special park hopping pathway starting in Seuss Landing, which was just a quick 5-minute walk between the parks and brought us out right in front of the Minion Cafe. We rode Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts once each night. It's a fast-moving train car ride through the Wizarding World's most secure bank, and a must if you're a Harry Potter fan. We also rode the ET Adventure in the front row, which is the only opening day attraction still open in either of these two Universal parks. Another highlight is that we got to ride Trolls Roller Coaster by ourselves in the front row, which was a treat because this was our first time riding it. Troller Coaster is the newest family coaster in the resort. The team members in DreamWorks Land seemed excited to see people at all, and it felt like a ghost town over there. It was a ton of fun to ride this little coaster, and the team members clapped for us as we made it back to the station. Another new ride that we prioritized was Illumination's VillainCon Minion Blast. This is an interactive virtual shooting game where you stand on a conveyor belt and use your blaster to become a supervillain by taking over VillainCon. It has great repeatability since you can use the Universal Orlando app to link your blaster and level up each time you play. A lot of people aren't fans of this attraction, but we enjoyed it and look forward to playing more villainous missions in the future. Our last ride both nights was Revenge of the Mummy. We rode it a total of 3 times between the 2 nights. Revenge of the Mummy is a thrilling indoor coaster that puts you in the middle of filming a new mummy movie with Brendan Fraser in a real Egyptian tomb. It's longer and more fun than the Universal Hollywood version of this ride. It was definitely a great ride to cap off both nights of our OI Meetup experience.
Every ride other than Hagrid's Magical Creature Motorbike Adventure had no wait the entire night. The only downside is that most of the bigger rides close anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half before the event ends due to sound ordinances, so we had to plan our night accordingly. But rides weren't the only priority for this meetup. We wanted to try as many foods as possible.
Orlando Informer makes it pretty easy to plan your night ahead of time, since they publish the food menus and schedule weeks before the event. Knowing that, we sat down and made a list of what we wanted to try. It's important to note that most food is pre-made, so you can just walk in and pick up what you want, or it's served buffet style. While that made it super fast to get all kinds of food, it also meant that some items had sat under a heat lamp for a while, customization wasn't an option, and that portion sizes are small. You can always ask for more, though. Bottled water and Gatorade are included from any venue that has them, as well as freestyle soda, so it's easy to stay hydrated. On the Islands of Adventure side, we tried the famous brookie from Burger Digs, which was a little too heavy and chocolatey for us, and the pizza pasta and popcorn shrimp from Circus McGurkus Cafe Stupendous. The pizza pasta was one of my favorite items of the event. Even though it wasn't the freshest, the flavors were on point.
The popcorn shrimp was pretty standard too. We also tried the green eggs and ham cafe. We both had to try the pizza tots and they were delicious. With mozzarella, pepperoni, sausage, and Italian seasoning on top of crisp tater tots, what's not to love? I also tried the green eggs and ham tots, which are tater tots covered in green eggs, diced ham, and a white cheese sauce. I enjoyed these, but not as much as the pizza tots, and I was glad that it was a smaller portion size.
And I also tried the buffalo chicken tots, which were tots covered in chicken tender chunks, mozzarella, scallions, ranch, and buffalo sauce. These did have some heat, so I wouldn't recommend them for the spice-averse, but I loved them and I would definitely have them again. On the Universal Studios side, we tried the Minion Cafe's steak and cheese ray sliders, which was served buffet style. That meant we could customize to only get the French-dipped roast beef and cheese sauce, but it also meant that the food was not really that hot and that the roast beef was too juicy. To be honest, it tasted like something you would get in a school cafeteria, and neither of us ate more than a bite or two. Another underwhelming food we tried was Finnegan's mac and cheese. As a self-proclaimed mac and cheese connoisseur, I was really looking forward to trying it, and it even looked good when I picked it up, but ultimately it was super dry and I didn't even taste the cheese. I felt like it had also been sitting out a little too long, so maybe it would have been better if we'd gone earlier in the evening.
But most of the food items we were excited to try were in the Wizarding World, including a variety of unique drinks and ice cream. We had, of course, tried Butterbeer before, but had never wanted to shell out the $6.50 per drink for the other varieties, so this was the perfect time to try them all.
We tried the Otter's Fizzy Orange Juice, Peachtree Fizzing Tea, Tongue-Tying Lemon Squash, and the controversial Fishy Green Ale. The tongue-tying lemon squash was just lemonade, though it was delicious. The Otter's Fizzy Orange Juice had vanilla and cinnamon, which reminded us too much of pumpkin spice and wasn't our favorite. The Peachtree Fizzing Tea tasted like a generic peach tea with some ginger beer added, which was just fine with us, but the fishy green ales combination of mint, cinnamon, and blueberry boba was definitely not something we enjoyed. We also tried pumpkin juice, which is exactly what it sounds like. And of course, what Wizarding World meal would be complete without some butterbeer? We drank a lot of hot butterbeer throughout the event since the weather wasn't unbearably hot and it's all included. Let us know which butterbeer is your favorite in the comments. The other Wizarding World item we were excited to try was Florian Fortescue's Ice Cream Parlor. Though we'd heard a lot about how great it is, we never wanted to wait in the line. But during the meetup, there was no line. We just walked in and picked up any and all varieties we wanted to try from labeled trays on the counter. We chose the salted caramel blondie, sticky toffee pudding, strawberry and peanut butter, and huckleberry flavors. The strawberry and peanut butter was exactly that, but it didn't taste artificial at all. It was not too sweet, but super refreshing. So was the huckleberry. I definitely tasted the fruit, and it was tart but perfectly balanced. The sticky toffee pudding was honestly just okay. Having had that dessert many times, I didn't feel like it really captured the flavors that well, and there weren't very many chunks of cake in it. But the salted caramel blondie was by far my favorite. The chunks of blondie and streams of caramel running through every bite were insanely delicious. I would gladly pay for a big bowl of that on our next park visit.
Our last stop before we left the park both nights was at the popcorn stand, where we got a small bucket of popcorn and some bottled water for the road. Even though it was at the end of the night, the popcorn was still fresh, and a great snack to eat during the walk back through City Walk to our shuttle bus.
So after all of that, what are our final opinions about the Orlando Informer Meetup? The atmosphere at this event is unmatched. Getting to casually stroll through a nearly empty Hogsmeade and Diagon Alley was a rare and amazing experience, especially if you've been to Universal during the busiest times of year. There were times where we were walking from place to place and didn't see a single other guest, which we loved. It was a drastic change from the time we got into the park, intermixed with daytime guests, to the time the event started. If you don't like crowds, this is the event for you. The fact that they still do entertainment like the Hogwarts Castle show and that you can go shopping in empty stores are both huge pros as well. The customer service from the Orlando Informer team was great, and they made us feel extremely taken care of and pampered.
Our biggest piece of advice is to do your research and make a list of all your must-dos before you attend the event. With such limited time and the knowledge that the park will likely be crowded until the event officially starts, you may miss out on some rides or some of the food items if you don't have a game plan. We're so glad we made a plan before we went, and because of that, we got to do everything we wanted to do.
When we look at all of the things we accomplished in just 5 to 6 hours in the parks, it really does drive home how much a limited capacity event helps when you're trying to maximize your time. In our experience, there were only a few not so great things about our first meetup. The fact that some rides, essentially all of the heavy hitter e-ticket attractions, close an hour or longer before the meetup ends is a shame. That means you really have to plan ahead and prioritize those things early. The restaurants also close early, and though the snack carts stay open until the end of the event, you have to make sure you know the schedule beforehand. Some of the food was not the freshest, but the things that were fresh were delicious, and there was never any wait for any items we wanted. But what do you think? Have you attended an Orlando Informer Meetup? Let us know your experiences in the comments, or if you plan on attending a future meetup. Thanks for joining us at the Orlando Informer Meetup. Overall, I feel like this event is completely worth the hefty price tag. There is so much free food, and all of the rides are ride now, except for the one ride that's not, which is admittedly the best ride, but even that wait is so much shorter than it normally is during the day.
Yeah, I think it's totally worth it if you're, wait time adverse. If you don't want to spend a lot of time waiting in lines, maybe you have foot problems like I do, so this is like a perfect event for you. I think the food is pretty good. It's easy to get to, and maybe some of it's like buffet style, but it's not bad. It all tasted really good. And obviously the drinks are all included, and there's super fast lines to get drinks and everything like that. So definitely worth it in that sense for me. I think if you're with somebody who just can't do a full day at a park, this is totally worth it.
Yes, and obviously do what is best for you and your family and your budget. But ultimately, this is definitely worth it in our opinion. So if you enjoyed this video and want to see more travel content from us, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Until next time, I'm Rachel.
And I'm David.
And we hope this video helped you find the right direction for your next adventure. Bye!